The very first time I went winter camping, I had a pretty rough go of it. I actually almost got hypothermia. I was inexperienced, I was under-equipped. In the years since, I've learned to really love winter camping, and outside of the obvious, warm clothes and warm sleeping bags, there are some great essentials that I like to bring with me when I'm car camping in the winter months to stay safe, to stay comfortable, and just have a better time while I'm out in the backcountry. First up, I've got one of my favorite pairs of boots that I picked up last year. These are the Extra Tough 6-inch deck boots. These won't be the perfect choice for all of you in every situation, especially if you're doing something like hiking. These really aren't ideal for hiking. But for car camping, there are a few specific reasons why these are my absolute favorite. First and foremost, they are a fully waterproof boot. The way that these are designed, they're essentially like a single piece exterior waterproofing compared to more commonly in a lot of like waterproof winter and hiking boots. You have a waterproof liner on the inside that can wear out over time and cause other problems. So this is just kind of a permanent waterproof boot, which is definitely not the norm for a lot of other winter boots. These are actually designed for commercial fishing, and they're meant to be worn year round, so you won't have any lining and you won't have any like beefier tread for hiking. But what you do have is a really great anti-slip outsole. These are my favorite to throw on to go run over to the grocery store or something in the winter when it gets really icy here in Portland. Whatever they're doing to this outsole, it works perfectly. Unlike most winter boots that you might go out and buy, these don't have any sort of lining or extra warmth to them, and that's actually a pro for me. Again, this is going to depend a lot on your situation, but I really like having boots where you can add the warmth and the layers instead of being forced into a certain amount of warmth. You can put little warming inserts in here with different linings for the footbed. You can layer up with multiple pairs of wool socks. It just gives you a lot more flexibility on the range of temperature that you can wear the boots in. And lastly, with these compared to most other traditional, winter boots, these are really easy slip-on boots, which make them a great option for camp. You don't want to get your boots all muddied on the inside of your tent, and you don't want to be trying to fumble with a bunch of laces when it's below freezing and your hands are numb and you just want to go and get into your sleeping bag. One other pair that I really like are the all-weather duck boots, or the LL Bean duck boots. Those are a classic as well. Those will work really well, but I do really prefer these specifically for the slip-on nature when I'm car camping. Just really convenient and really comfortable to wear and really flexible in how you can wear them. I wear these when I'm camping in the summer as well. It's just a great year-round boot for camping, but has some really specific nice things for the winter. Up next, I've got a very unique style of light. This is the Stoke Voltaics camping lantern. To be honest, any kind of lighting is going to be perfectly fine and will get you through. It is important to make sure that you do have some good adequate lighting if you're camping in the winter, just because the hours are so much shorter with the sun. You're probably going to be spending a lot more time in the dark, so you'll probably need a lot more lighting than you might normally if you're used to camping in the summer months. But this one had a few really unique features. It's a brand new pickup for me. First off, the lantern aspect. You have a few different colors and brightness settings here. You have kind of a cooler white with different brightness settings. You have a nice, warm orange light that is my preference. I always like those warmer lights, as you can tell from my office, but it kind of emulates that like campfire warm lighting, which is really nice. You have a bonus, red and blue flashing for emergencies. But something that is really unique with this that I like, you have the ability to fold these down. So you have some flexibility in the angling of the light. So you can hang this up, or you can set it on a table. You get a lot of flexibility. Second feature on top of the lantern, you do actually have a flashlight light on the bottom here, so you can use those in conjunction, or you can use one or the other. Really good if you want to hand hold this and be able to use it more as a traditional flashlight instead of a lantern. It's a 15,000 milliamp hour battery inside, and you can actually use it to charge other devices. So really big battery for the light itself. The runtime gets up to 400 hours, which is pretty crazy for a small lantern of this size. But if your phone runs out of juice or something like that, you can plug it in as an emergency backup type of situation. And last, and I think the most winter specific feature here, you actually have the ability to turn this into a hand warmer, which I thought was super clever, a little gimmicky, my first initial gut reaction, but it does actually work really well. And again, if you're used to winter camping, those numb hands in the morning when you're trying to make your coffee are really terrible. So being able to have this and warm up your hands a little bit is just a nice little added bonus to an already good lantern. Next item on the list is the Anker SOLIX F2000, formerly named the Powerhouse 767. Anker was kind enough to sponsor this week's video as well, so a huge thanks to them. Really quick before we get into this though, they're actually running some really great promotions right now with savings up to $1,300 off. So if you are interested in picking one of these up at some point, be sure to check the link in the description down below. But let's get into a quick overview here of the F2000 with all of the specs and features. It has 2,048 watt hours of capacity and is actually expandable up to 4,096 watt hours, which is absolutely crazy. You have a ton of variety with the ports and I/O for this. You have 4 AC ports, 3 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, 2 12-volt accessory car ports, and 1 TT30 port that's designed for usage in RVs. It has 2,400 watts of output and a 3,600 watt surge. That's going to cover just about anything you can think of, almost any appliance in your home. The charging speed is also insane. It'll charge up to 1,440 watts with AC power. It'll go from 0 to 80% in an hour. And if you want to use solar panels, it can charge at 1,000 watts and charge up fully in 2.5 hours. In addition to all the ports, you have a built-in 3-level ambient light at the top. Really useful if you have a power outage in your home or if you're winter camping and it's dark for 16 hours a day. You also have a really bright and large display screen that looks excellent. You have some really big beefy wheels here. They're almost 5 inches in diameter. They have a little bit of tread here as well. So for camping use or any sort of more off-road use, it's going to be able to handle itself a little bit better. The wheels feel really nice and smooth, and in addition to that, for mobility and being able to move this thing around, you have a retractable easy tow handle that comes out of the top. It makes moving it around so much more convenient, and it just tucks away into the body of the unit when you're not using it, so it's not going to be intrusive for the rest of the time. There's also a companion smart app to be able to monitor the usage with the energy input and output. You also have quite a few extra controls built into the app as well. Been using it the past couple of months. The UI is great. The app runs super smooth. I've been perfectly happy with it. There are so many useful applications for this outside of the fun stuff like winter camping. Having a battery with this large of capacity and this much wattage output can be a real lifesaver in power outage situations. I grew up in a place with a ton of power outages, often multiple days at a time, several times a year. It was a huge pain. Something like this, outside of running obvious, important appliances, I could plug in my whole desk with my OLED TV and my Xbox and just go about my day almost unchanged and still have plenty of extra wattage left after running everything at my desk. Getting back into camping though, it opens up a ton of possibilities for what you can do. If you go on any long-term overlanding trips, if you have an RV, the TT30 port, you can plug directly into this, save some money from the plugins at different campgrounds, or you have the option to go to, public land, backcountry campsites, which is how I prefer to camp. A lot more flexibility and freedom and privacy. It's so much more fun than a busy, hectic campground if you're trying to get in nature and get some peace and quiet. Being able to run things like an electric cooler or fridge or a CPAP machine, or maybe you want to use your e-bike and charge it up every night while you're out camping. Tons of possibilities for this. And for professional usage for myself, I do a lot of photo and video work. Being able to take this and be able to run lights and camera gear and stuff remotely and not need to worry about plugs or charging situations in a place I might not have been before shooting. Again, another real lifesaver in that situation as well. The possibilities feel endless, and Anker has always been so solid with their tech products and especially their battery products. The F2000 is rated for 3,000 charge cycles. It uses EV grade batteries in it. It has a 5-year warranty, and outside of all of that spec type of stuff, the build quality is really excellent. This thing feels premium. Be sure to check the link in the description down below. Again, they're running some great promotions, up to $1,300 off right now. now, so be sure to check that. Huge thanks again to Anker SOLIX for sponsoring this week's video. Moving into something absolutely tiny after that, we have the FlexTail Zero pump. This is a 1.2 ounce air pump designed to fill up sleeping pads and pillows, things like that, something that gets even more important in the winter. Aside from the fact that it is no fun to blow up an air mattress by hand or by mouth, I guess it would be, when you blow that up, you're blowing so much moisture into your sleeping pad that causes two potential problems, one of which is even more important to prevent in the winter months. One, you have mold issues. If you're breathing in all of that moisture and bacteria, your sleeping pad can grow mold, and that's just gross and not healthy for you. But two, all of that moisture, if you're in a cold, below freezing environment, that can freeze and it can make your sleeping pad a little bit colder. So having something like this or a pump sack, if you're not wanting to go the route of electronics, can really help prevent that. This is just a lot easier to use than a pump sack, and it actually weighs like half as much as the pump sack for my air mattress, so it kind of feels like a no-brainer. The battery is also user replaceable, which is a huge plus. It doesn't become e-waste after the battery runs its course. You can also bring extra batteries with you if you're going on an extra long trip or something like that. There are also some other applications that it can come in handy for. You can use this to stoke a fire if you're trying to keep a fire going. If you're not someone that does backpacking, though, there are potentially some other options that are better for you. If you're just doing car camping or want to use it for like pool floats in the summer, things like that, the Nitecore AP10 air pump is really great. You have a built-in light in here as well, and you just have a little bit more power and a little bit more battery capacity. If you're someone that only does car camping, I'd probably recommend this AP10 pump over the Pump Zero. But either way, one of them can be a huge benefit for your next trip. Next up is this little tiny Govee thermometer. This isn't actually designed for camping use as far as I can tell. It's meant for like cigar boxes or monitoring temps and humidity in your home, but I found it to be a very useful tool for backpacking and camping. It weighs less than an ounce, so it's really easy to throw into your bag, and you can double check the temps and the humidity whenever you camp. I think that's something that's really important, for testing and checking, seeing how gear performs at different temperatures. I'm often pushing the limits of what my gear is capable of doing, and it's nice to know if it works really well at certain temperatures as I plan trips in the future. I'm also just kind of a sucker for the data. I log all the temperatures for all my camping and backpacking trips when I get home, along with the locations and details and all of that sort of stuff. It's Bluetooth connected and pairs with an app. The app is really nice to use. It'll show you the last 24 hours on a graph for the highs and lows for both the humidity and the temperature. This is really nice compared to some of the other ones I've tried that are just a display that don't connect your phone, because the lowest temps are usually when you're sleeping, and if I'm sleeping, I can't see what the temps are. So I can wake up in the morning, see what the temperature got to, and log it. Really useful. They're super inexpensive too. I think they're $14 or $15, but definitely recommend it for either backpacking or car camping. Just a really useful piece of kit for me. Next up is for sleeping. This is the Nemo Switchback closed cell foam sleeping pad. This is something that might be unnecessary depending on your situation, but if you tend to do winter camping and don't want to spend a bunch of money on getting a second mattress that will have a much higher R value, or if maybe you're only occasionally out in really cold temps, this is a great way to supplement the insulation in your 3-season sleeping pad. My usual sleeping pad is a Nemo Tensor. I have the older model, I believe is a 3.5 R value. Quick rundown of the R value is the insulation that the pad provides between the ground and you. Really common misunderstanding. A lot of the cold when you sleep comes from the ground more so than the air. So having that insulation is going to help you stay warmer. It's kind of what a sleeping bag does on your top half, the sleeping pad will do on your bottom half. But 3.5 is not really adequate when you're getting down into single digits or teens. That's in Fahrenheit, well below freezing for Celsius folks. Throwing this underneath it, though, is a great way to add some extra R value without having to buy a bunch of different sleeping pads for different scenarios. It's less expensive than a second sleeping pad and adds a little bit more variety for what you can do with it. You can take naps with this or use it as a seat if you're backpacking, something like that. But, this paired with my 3-season sleeping pad, it suddenly becomes a 4-season sleeping pad that's more than adequate for winter usage comfortably for me. It weighs 415 grams, a little bit less than a pound. around. It's just a great inexpensive way to add some warmth to your sleeping pad. Or if you're really intense and out during the summer, you can use this as your only sleeping pad. I am definitely someone that favors, more comfortable, thicker air mattress though. Next item on the list is a good fixed blade knife to be able to process firewood. A lot of people that don't do a lot of firewood processing, and you think you need a knife and an axe and a saw to do all of these things. So, and honestly, a single fixed blade knife will kind of get the job done for most situations. Having an axe and a saw is definitely handy and honestly just kind of fun. So I'm not against bringing those with you, but using this and batoning wood to split it is almost just as effective as using an axe. It's a lot smaller, it's a lot less expensive just to have a single item here. This is the Gerber Principle. It's a full tang 420 HC steel blade. It's 7.5 inches in total length. It weighs 3.7 ounces, not counting my little extra paracord here. I've had this for a few years. I'm not saying it's necessarily the best, but it was the one I bought a few years ago and it has served me really well. This is again something that would have a lot of alternative and other options. I have a couple to talk about really quick here though. One would be the Mora knife. If you're backpacking and still want to be able to build out fires and are a little more concerned with weight, this would be a really good option and a great way to save some money. It's not a big full tang blade. The handle is just plastic, but the blade is extremely sharp. I ended up using this for, kitchen stuff around camp and keeping this for firewood because I kind of ruined this from batoning wood over the years, and I didn't want to ruin a second one because I already had this. But this would be another good option if you're looking to save some money or save some weight. And if you do want to go the route of an axe, I did actually recently pick up an axe. I've yet to use it and try it. If all goes according to plan, I'll be on a camping trip tomorrow to spend the night out and get some footage for this video and just to get out because I haven't in the past few weeks. This is an axe I picked up from Gerber recently and it had a unique feature I hadn't really seen before. Built into the handle, you have a little saw blade here. It's a pretty inexpensive hatchet and the saw blade here doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but if you're kind of on a budget and wanting to get into more wood processing and are just really wanting that hatchet experience when you're out at camp, if you don't want to just go the route of batoning wood with a knife, I'm really looking forward to testing this out finally. I got it a while back and just haven't had the chance to use it. So I'll report back with how it went tomorrow if all goes well and I'm out and getting some firewood ready for a fire in the cold. That's going to wrap it up for this roundup though. I am so excited to get out there tomorrow. It's just going to be a quick overnight trip, but it's been about a month since I've been out, itching to go. I was backpacking in nice weather all summer, so I'm really looking forward to getting back into this cold weather. I tend to backpack during the nicer months and car camp during the colder months just because it's a little safer and more comfortable. Be able to get set up for some winter camping, work on my bushcraft skills, stuff like that. But I really hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below if you winter camp as well. I'd love to hear any stories if you got them. Thank you all so much for watching though, and I'll talk to you in the next one.